welcome to FACEHAMMER. It's me, Russ the Face Wheel, and I'm here doing a list tech show on the HEDONITES of Slaanesh after we posted our Slaanesh update video over a week ago now. Sorry, it's taken me a while to do this. I've been a bit ill. Byron is still currently very ill, hence why I'm solo. I might sniffle during this. It's just the after effects, so hopefully it's not too bad and you can put up with it. First, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who's engaged with the channel, subscribed, new people who have found us through the uptick we had in the book reviews, the General's Handbook and the 2 battle tomes. It's really appreciated the support, and some of the comments have been great, really constructive. I had a lot of comments on the Slaanesh show, and I had a request to do a list tech show from a chap called, I'm going to say this wrong, by the way, Tiziano Morello, I think. So do a competitive Slaanesh list show. I've actually, after recording the Slaanesh update, I got a little bit excited, and I've kind of rebought my Slaanesh army. So I kind of want to do this Slaanesh army purely because I think it's a good indicator of... you know, I think it's going to be challenging to use. And I generally, when I play an army, I like armies that are challenging to use. I like what I call AOS on hard mode. So I like the Deepkin a lot. The new handbook and the points adjustments allow me to do a mortal Slaanesh army using the new models. And I think before the Slaanesh was in such a poor state, it just wasn't really possible to be a level of competitive that I was happy with, and as most of for people who don't know, my hobby generally is competitive play. I only go to events. I don't really play at a club. I don't play outside of events unless it's a practice game for a tournament. So I generally try and play competitive lists, but I like lists that are interesting and give me options on the table, where I can use good combination and good play to win games. And generally I don't like running meta lists or popular armies. So the Slaanesh update for me was enough to tip me over the edge to try it out. So I've gone out and bought the stuff. This show I'm going to talk about the list that I had originally designed. I have played a game of it as well this week, which I luckily got a practice game against a local friend of mine, James. So he came over and pushed his iron jaws around the new handbook. And really it was just a little game to get us used to the Gletchen veterans, get used to the proving ground mechanic. You know, I got to try out the Slaanesh army. I've got some learning points since I wrote this list, so I'll go through the list that I wrote initially, why I chose those things, what things do, where the rules are, because Slaanesh can be a bit difficult for new players or people that don't know. The rules are kind of scattered all over the place. So I'll kind of bring together the army, my choices, and I've got a load of options about what I can do to change it up. But I just wanted to say, you know, like, we want to do an OBR list tech show that's been requested. I did get a guy message me on Discord talking about Kharadron Overlords, and honestly I don't know enough about KO, so if anyone wants to put in the comments a new GHB competitive KO list that they've played a game with or so and think it's good, I'll more than happily look at that, do a bit of research and cover it, so we can help out people on the Discord. If you want to engage with, you know, the community, the FACEHAMMER Legion, then you can join the Discord and you know, just post in the relevant channels. It's quite a nice community, so, you know, I'll check it fairly regularly. But if you've got anything you want to at me, that'd be great. But anyway, let's get into the show. So firstly, thanks to everyone, and this show is all going to be about HEDONITES of Slaanesh, a competitive list that I ran, why I took it, the game learning points and options. So let's get into it. So straight away, I will go through the list because that's probably the most interesting place to start. And I will talk to you about the army list and why I chose it and things like that. So there'll be a bit of jumping around because honestly, this is my second attempt at recording this, because the first time I recorded it, I was a little bit all over the place and I was still pretty ill. So I was kind of sniffing and coughing down the mic, and I don't think that's good for anyone. So I thought I'd re-record it. Now I feel a little bit better. So the list is a Slaanesh army. It's in the host, the Faultless Blades, which is a Pretender's host. That's from the Wrath of the Everchosen book. I will talk about what that does and why I've chosen that in a minute. I've got the Grand Strategy Coveted Riches, which is from the White Dwarf update. Again, that's it could be one of the other handbook ones. Like, I think the ones where you either deny your territory or get into their territory are probably the two go-tos. But I will, that's flavor after games. You can change that. It doesn't really affect the army. Triumph wise, I would take the battle shock immunity rather than the wound roll, purely because that, for me, that's a big issue with this army. I haven't put it on the list, but it's 1995 the army, so it's unlikely you're going to get it. And there's some choices about whether you drop the Burning Head to get more reliable Triumph. And I've got Warlord, and honestly, I've got 2 named characters, so you can't really go for multiple. Just noticed a mistake in the list. It's fine. So I've got Warlord, so you can't really go for extra artifacts. So you could go for an extra Triumph and go for the wound roll or the charge roll, just for a bit more command point efficiency. But really the reason I've taken Warlord is for the extra command point, and it could have been magnificent, but I've got 2 Untamed Beast units that aren't in a formation, so it unlocks Warlord and it just gives me that extra thing. You could also go Spell, and then it gives you access to, like, Levitate on the Keeper or Flaming Weapon, which is what I probably would take on the Keeper. In fact, I did that in my practice game, and Sinessa could take Levitate. So Sinessa could Levitate the Keeper, give him Flaming Weapon, Mystic Shield, and fly over the top and go in and be aggressive. So anyway, that's Triumphs and extra stuff. So formations, I'm running Expert Conquerors, which is the Galatian veteran units only, and you count as triple, basically 3 models on objectives. And I've taken Bounty Hunters for +1 damage against Galatian veterans. Now, I'll talk about this in more detail later, but basically my Pain Bringers, so my army is Sigvold, a Keeper of Secrets. He has the Shining Aegis, but you could choose whichever you wanted, Sinistrous Hand, or I wouldn't take the Knife, but you could take Sinistrous Hand or the Whip or whatever. I like the Aegis, I like the Ward Save. He's very important to stay alive. He's got the Artifact Contemptuous Brand, because he has to have that. He has also got you have the command trait from the Faultless Blades, which I forget the name of. I haven't put it on the list, but basically this is the mistake. I added it. So he's basically got the Faultless Blades command trait, which is the extra pile-in, which I'll talk about in a minute. Then as Pretenders, you get a second one. Now, War Scroll Builder doesn't allow me to pick a generic one. It's not going to be Strength of Godhood. It's going to be Master of Magic, because you want the rerolls to cast Unbind Dispel, because it's just so good for the reliability. And I'll talk about some options in a minute, because Sinessa could be a Contorted Epitome if you wanted to do that. So the spell was Born of Damnation, which allows you to heal a Slaanesh hero D3 wounds, so you can heal Sigvald with that, rather than the Progeny of Damnation, which is the demon-only one. Sinessa, she knows all the lore. I'll talk about her in a lot of detail. She's from the Broken Realms Kragnos book. So again, that's you've got your White Dwarf, you've got your Wrath of the Everchosen, you've got your Hedonites book, and you've got your Broken Realms book, plus your FAQ, plus your General's Handbook. So you need there's a lot of books. So I would suggest, if you're going to play an army like this at an event, you print out and consolidate the rules in an easy to carry format, because otherwise you're going to need a backpack with wheels just to carry the books. We've got Freenets of Blissbarb Archers. Now, they've dropped in points. I actually think these guys are really good for their points now. I know people will be going, oh, they're not that good, they're rubbish, but they're not. What I like about these is they're really good at depravity generation, getting 2 shots each. They can run and shoot. They've got rend. They're 4s and 3s with the homunculus in the unit. But you can do things with Sinessa to get +1 to hit against monsters or certain units with some of the spells she's got in her suite. And her War Scroll spell doesn't have a range, and it's against heroes. So you roll 3d6, if you beat their bravery, you get +1 to hit with attacks that target that model. So if you get that on a key hero, and then your Blissbarbs can get in range, that's a really good way of chipping away. And if Purple Sun goes off, that gives you an extra -1 to their save. So basically Rend 2 shooting, and you've got 22 shots, 21 shots a unit, because the hit champion gets an extra shot. So you're basically, it's a lot. It's like 63 shots. So if you can get them all in range, and they could be freeze and freeze, and then all out attack if you need to go freeze and freeze anyway. So only on one unit, but you know, it's still good. And you've got 10 Painbringers twice. Now these are my bounty hunters. I like these because they're kind of resilient. I like the fact they do mortals and they've got rend. Not being Galatian veterans is a bit of an issue with their reach, because only reach one, so I'm not sure whether they should be twin souls and slick blades. So I think 10 twin souls, because they've got the extra reach and they can get a 5-up ward until your next hero phase, allows you to put the ward on before you unlock it with the White Dwarf Depravity, which I'll talk about in a sec. And then the slick blades are fast, so they can point and click and kill a veteran unit, and they kind of do the same role. They've got rend, they've got mortal wounds, they've got the same wounds, they've got a worse save, but they're fast. So it's like it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. It's whether or not you want to go for that or this. I played these 2 units to grind and to be like a kind of staunch wall. They were good. They did less damage than I expected. I rolled really badly when I played with them. Slaanesh have got the rule when you roll a 6 to hit in melee, you get an extra attack. The only reason I'm not a big fan of twin souls is I just don't like the fact they don't have any rend. I think it's a big deal, particularly in like Age of Armor save, which is what we're in at the moment with stackable saves. Whether or not you just accept that and just go, well, they roll loads of dice, they'll fail some saves, but anything with like a 2-up, reroll 1s, or anything like that, you're just never going to touch it. Whereas at least with the Painbringers, they've got mortals, but you do have other ways to deal with those big creatures and those superheroes outside of your bounty hunters, which really should be going in and grinding up Galatian veterans. So I'm not sure. I think the list is flexible enough that allows you to just choose what you want in your army. And I'll talk about these kind of bolt-on options and roles, because I would design this list with different roles which could be fulfilled by different units depending on flavor, and whether you find the most effective thing is entirely up to you. So then I've gone into 2 units of Untamed Beasts. Now these are just great screens. They get a pre-game move. It protect, because I've not got a low drop army, so this allows me to push the board zone out so they can't drop close to me and charge me on turn 1, or they can't alpha strike move. You know, with this pre-game move you can do it so you can block off, you know, like the base sizes of flyers against key bits, and it's just good. And you can also sit on cap objectives. You can just tag an objective with a few models. It just means that you're enacting the game before you get a go, and it kind of forces your opponent to be like, oh, I'm not sure, do I want to go first or not? And they've got a little shooting attack, so sometimes you can get in range and just chuck that spear, whatever, to do some damage. Yeah, I just like them. I think they're for 70 points. I don't think you can go wrong with these 2 little screens, and they can generate depravity as well if someone doesn't really overcommit to killing them and they get a little bit unlucky. And then it allows you to then counter charge whatever charges them. So they're kind of annoying, you know, which I think is basically what you want from a screen unit. Chaos got access to some really good ones. And the spells, I've gone for the Burning Head and Purple Sun. Purple Sun is cast on an 8. It's a hard cast. That's why you need to take Master of Magic. It's one of those spells that if it goes off, it's game changing, and your opponent's just going to shit themselves if you get it off. Burning Head is kind of like your little poke, do a few mortal wounds. You can fire it through your own army if you really want to, and generate some depravity. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend doing that too much, as it's going to your army is also lots of 1 wound infantry and stuff. But if it's in through your Untamed Beasts, it's 2 depravity. You don't really care if you do it on turn 1. Just put it between the 2 units and then ping off some mortals. It's okay. I think it's good as well if once you're in the mix to do it into your opponent's army. And it becomes a kind of annoying spell. I'm not sure whether I'd take that. I think the endless spells, I've kind of left 100 points for endless spells. So you could take like Mesmerizing, Mirroring Cogs. You could take Ravnak's Gnashing Jaws is very good. You know, there's loads of good endless spells now. And I think what I'm saying is you can choose what you want to flavor. And the way this list works is you've got your hero suite. So Sigvald, Keeper, and Sinessa, and the Keeper could be Glutos, Sinessa could be a Contorted Epitome, or could be 2 little mini heroes or 1 mini hero. Sigvald is always going to be Sigvald because he's Sigvald. Your Bliss Barbs you could change one unit out to Hellstriders to save you 5 points because of 135. Your Painbringers could be Slick Blades. They could, as in like, you know, the cavalry. They could be 2 units of 5 Twin Souls, 1 big unit of 10 Twin Souls, and you're going up or down 10 points, you know, 10, 20 points up or down, depending what you're doing. Your Untamed Beasts, you're probably not going to drop those. If you did, you could put Hellstriders in, but then you're vulnerable. You'd have to deploy quite deep. So I personally wouldn't drop those. But they're your screen, and whether or not you find a better screen, or you go 1 drop, or you change your formation. You've got Bounty Hunters, you've got that, you've got your Warlord. Whether or not you want a hero that can have an artifact like the Contorted Epitome, which allows you to have a second artifact, that means Sinessa might be the dropout, but then she adds a lot of stuff in the army that helps. So it's kind of like up or down, and you can get those 10 points or those 20 points by doing those little swaps. And the idea is the list essentially remains similar. And again, the host is not set. Like, you might say, I want to play Lurid Haze, or you might want to go Godseekers. You can really pick what you like and what you want. The reason I went Pretenders is because you get a bonus if you've got a unit of 10 models, which I think is cool. You also get a bonus of against heroes, which I think is cool. You get 2 command traits, which allows you to do some stuff. I mean, obviously not really running any particular artifacts. You could not take Faultless Blades, but I really like the command ability, which I'll talk about. So that's the list. I've just ran through it, and I've sort of talked about the roles of the units and how it all interacts. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the rules in more detail. So I'm going to now expand on these things. So hopefully that gives you an insight of what I'm talking about. Then at the end, I'll talk about the game I had, my learning points, and say what I'm probably going to switch out, because I am going to change this list from after playing with it. And what I like about the Slaanesh book is that now with the points adjustments, stuff is interchangeable because the points now kind of fit nicely. It's a bit like OBR when you've got like 200 points. It's any of the elite units. You're not going, oh, I can't fit that, so I've only really got this choice. Whereas now, because the points have been like lowered and stuff's been moved into brackets of 10 Painbringers is effectively 5 Slick Blades, is effectively 10 Twin Souls, is effectively 2 units of, you know, whatever, 2 Hellstrider units, for example. Then you're now able to play this kind of switching game, and I find it like Idoneth very similar. And I really like internal book balance when it's like that. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still a lot wrong with the Slaanesh book balance. You can check out our show that we did where we talk about Slaanesh, and we talk about the internal balance of the book, and some of the stuff still will you out of whack. And again, the other option you could do here is Sinessa could be a Shards Keeper and Lord of Pain, and then you can stick the Painbringers or Twin Souls as Galatian Veterans. I personally don't like them being Galatian Veterans because I think too many people are going to run Bounty Hunters that can outreach you. And unless you've got a Galatian Veteran unit that can really either stay far back and shoot and stand objectives, or be very fast and attack, but cavalry's not. So how many infantry is fast? And Twin Souls of movement 8 can be up to movement 10. So they're probably one of the quicker Galatian Veteran units out there. Bounty Hunters can be movement 14, and you just can't, you can't take a damage 2 hit. Suddenly, like, you're doubling the output against your unit, and I just think it's too big on a unit you want to survive. And Slaanesh particularly, you want to be kind of tanky to get depravity. So I personally don't want my combat units in Gallatin Veterans, even if they're tanky. I just don't think it's worth it. Units that can stand behind, like you can put them Painbringers up and put the Bliss Buds behind, and they can stand on objective and capture it, is way better for me. So I can make this wall, and then the archers are behind, and they're just tagging the objectives. Counting is free. They're not getting affected by proving ground, but then you've got a wall of stuff that isn't going to get bonus damage against. And I don't think you do anything different. So any army, if I'm running my Deepkin, my Reavers are in that. I'm not putting Thralls in. I don't want them because I don't want the extra damage against them. It just makes them completely irrelevant. But my Eels will become Bounty Hunters. My Sharks will become Bounty Hunters because they're fast and I can point and click and kill what I want. So I think that's the way to go. I might be wrong. It's early days, but there you go. So let's get into it. Just bear with me while I change over my assets. So we've got the Pretenders. So this is the generic pretender rules. So if you've got a hero as a general, you get 2 traits. I've already spoke about that. You also get this rule that pretender units that have 10 or more models while your general's on the battlefield get to reroll hit rolls of 1. So with Slaanesh, you get a rule which every 6 to hit is an extra hit. And if you've got 20 models, it's 2 hits. It really benefits Demonettes. So the Painbringers have a rule that if you roll a 6 to wound, it's a mortal wound in addition. So the idea is you roll your attacks, you roll 1s, you reroll the 1s, you fish for 6s. If you get 6s, that's extra hits. Then you roll those damage. Every 6 is a mortal. If they lost a model, then you would have got some depravity out of it. So if your opponent's like, oh, I want to shoot one off, fine, you get a depravity point. And you also get a rally back on a 5 once you've got 6 depravity, which should be super easy to do with all the bliss barbs you've got in the first turn, assuming they're in range. And if they're not in range, then that's fine. So you've also got the Warlord Supreme. So this is really easy to forget. I forgot about this. So you get an extra depravity point if your general's within 3 inches of an enemy unit at the end of the battle shot phase. You receive D3 if he's within 3 of 2 or more enemy units. So it could be useful. How often that comes up, it's maybe 1 extra point. I think the Godseekers has got the best depravity generation. Either that or you take Invaders, because I like Invaders because if your general's alive, you get your command point and you've got multiple generals, and then it makes you kind of the abilities to go like, I'll generate my I generate my command point because my general's alive, and all that stuff is good because you've got multiple. So when your first general dies, you get an extra bonus one. So it's quite good. I mean, it's not as good as it used to be because they don't persist across turns, but it's still useful. We've got the command traits here. I'm not going to go through these. I've not taken any of these because I've got to take the Faultless Blades one, but there's no reason why you couldn't not take Faultless Blades and go into here. There's some really good ones here, like reroll hit rolls for attacks made by the general. If there's no one within 6, that's really useful. Fishing for 6s. With Strongest Alone, you've got, Monica Lies, you can get a hero making -1 to hit, you've got the Strength of Godhood, just Inspire is good, reroll Battle Shocks, especially in this army, +1 to damage against monsters, they're all pretty good. I don't think you take those over the generic Master of Magic. I think it's an auto, and then whatever else. I mean, if you go into a team event, you might end up taking one because someone else wants Master of Magic. So you've got Faultless Blades. So this is in the Wrath of the Everchosen book, and this goes on top of your Pretenders, so you get to run this with the Pretender's host. So you get +1 to hit rolls for attacks made by melee weapons if they target a hero and they charge. So that's across your whole army. So it's +1 to hit. It's command point efficiency, not having to do all that attack. Also means you can use a defensive command ability without worrying about, oh, I've got to use my all-out attack. Then when they hit me back, I can't do all-out defense, or their Armor of Arrogance, which is one of my favorite named abilities. I just love the idea of it. So this command ability, pick a Faultless Blades Pretender's host unit on within 12 of a Pretender's hero. The first 2 wounds allocated are negated, so that's afterwards. It's amazing on Sigvald. It makes his survivability go through the roof. It's good to keep your keeper alive. He's kind of key. Any unit, it gives you that, and also because your Painbringers are at +1 armor save anyway, then this gives you another thing that allows you to defensively command ability affect a unit. So you could go all out defense on one unit, then the other unit you could go, I'll do Armor of Arrogance, and it kind of like gives you a bit more sustain. You could also, if you're in Lurid Haze, they get another ability, gives you +1 to save, so you could have both Painbringers at +2 save. So whether Lurid Haze is better, then you get the ambush option, it might be a better host. It's really up to you to practice. I don't really like Lurid Haze at the moment. I think it's just too tempting to put something near the enemy and you're not really working as a conjunction and you've got enough shooting and defensive line. It's kind of a more traditional hammer anvil type army, this one, and you use basically your keeper and Sigvald as your hammers and your Painbringers as the anvils and your shooters as a way of chipping away and forcing the situation, and then your screens as a way of giving you a second layer of defense. So I think it's it plays more like a traditional AOS sort of combined arms army than doing Lurid Haze and trying to do something janky coming on the board edge. And it's a bit, you can do, I mean, I know it's good and it can be useful and it can win games, but it's up to you. And there's a scenario where you can't even use it, so I kind of think I wanted to try out something different. Always play invaders. So you got the command traits. This is I think this is really strong. Like, a lot of people don't underrate this, but friendly faultless blade pretenders host units that start a pile-in move whole within 12 of the general can move an extra 3 inches. So what this allows you to do is a lot of stuff like, charge 1 unit, pile in past it and hit another unit, or charge 2 units into 1 unit, kill it with 1 unit, then pile in 6 into the next unit. And then if you've got your keeper in range, he's got a commander, but it allows you to fight again. So you could pile in again another 6, because you can pile in and fight again. And once you've made a charge, you're able to... because basically you're able to pile in. And the keeper ability, you need to be within 3, I think, to use it. But it's still good. I mean, like, you can go in and kill a unit. So you just combine charge. So I think you could do it with, like, I'll charge my keeper at Sigvold into a unit. Keeper kills it. Sigvold then piles in 6 and hits the next thing. Or, your Murmured and Painbringers go in with the keeper. Keeper kills the unit. The Painbringers then pile in 6 and hit something else. So, or just pile in 6 and screen the keeper off. It's stuff like that. So an extra 3 inches on the pile in. You've still got to obey the normal rules. So you've got to be within 3 or have completed a 6th charge. But I think it opens up a lot of options on the table with your movement, your fighting. It's particularly good with slick blades as well, because they got a 2-inch reach, so it gives you a bit more threat, and they're fast. So I like it. It's good. Then you've got the artifact, which is Contemptuous Brand, which you have to take. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons, add 1 to wound rolls that target heroes. So if you're on your keeper, you're +1 to hit, +1 to wound, because you've charged a hero. You're at +1 because you're pretenders, send me your best. And then you've also got the Contemptuous Brand for another +1. So you're at +1/+1. You've not spent a CP. You're not on best day. You could have Mystic Shielded. If you're on best day as well, you're at +2 to wound. Anything that's going to negative you 1 to wound, like Corpse Guards and stuff, you just negate. It's very good, and like, really, your keeper and Sigvold are like your surgical hero killers. Or your unit shredders, especially Sigvold, if they've got a ward save unit like Plague Bearers or something like that. You're just like, yeah, I don't care. He's great. So that's the reason I went. I just thought these little bonuses, they're all pretty good. And I quite like what they open up with the army, kind of like nudging the army in combat, a little bit of odd management. I do think it's good. And we got the Slaanesh of Headonites battle tome update. I'm not going to go through it in lots of detail, but basically one of the reasons the army kind of works is you've got the Revel in Pain. So as you get Depravity, you get a rally back on a 5. So having like units of 11 Bliss Barbs and stuff that they might shoot you back and they ain't got much save, and then you can rally them back and then they're on 5s. And also the Painbringers, once they've killed something, you might be at like 4 or 5 models, and you get to roll like, 5-6 dice every 5 ups of a guy back. You get a couple guys back is a big deal. 2 win models. It's really good for slick blades as well. If you run like I did think about one unit of 10, to be honest, but if you run 5 of those and you've lost like 2 models, like, although it's only 2 dice, if you roll pop a 5 up, I mean that's like 4 wounds back. You get +2 to move of all your units once you've got 12 Depravity, so that's big. That increases all your reach, everything. It's just +2 move is fantastic. And then on 18, you get your 5-up ward across your army. That's the one you want. That's where you need it. So this is the reason like Twin Souls are appealing to me, because they can do their 5-up ward dance in your hero phase. It lasts to your next hero phase. So it's a bit like where I use Lotan in my Deepkin, where I'm anticipating getting doubled back or not winning the turn and not having a ward and taking loads of damage. Whereas if I can do that early on and then creep into the 18 and have a permanent ward, then I can switch to the reroll to hit. So it's kind of like that perfect storm of getting the best of both worlds. Obviously, they don't get the +1 save like Painbringers do. So it's a bit of difference, because you'd probably need to use command points to buff their armor save, so it's going to drain your CPs a bit. So I don't know if Twin Souls are the way to go, but 2-inch reach is useful, especially when they're not in Galatian Veterans, so you need the reach. But yeah, there's that Revel in Pain, and obviously you can still summon. Doesn't restrict your summoning, so if you want to bring 30 Demonettes on, or another Keeper, or some 5 Seekers to pip an objective or something late game, you can. Because you might not care about the ward once you get into turn 4-5, because you've lost enough, or you're like, actually, it doesn't make any difference now. Then it's a case of, well, I'm now going to be, I don't want bodies, so I'll burn my depravity and plop 30 demonettes down on turn 5, you know, whatever, you know, on an objective, and they're Galatian veterans because, you know, they're battle line. So you just summon some demonettes, choose an active proving ground, summon the demonettes, and go, yep, that's got that one. So that's permanent. So yeah, it's good. So I think you got some options there. You still will use the summoning. So it's good. I won't go through the grand strategy. I kind of talked about that. This is just no enemy units of artifacts on the battlefield, one or more with artifacts. I mean, that's more of a like a theme choice, because I like the idea of pretenders, and it's like kill their hero, keep your heroes alive. But I don't think it's the best one. I think maybe go in like no units in your territory. Got some battle tactics in there, which is quite useful. So like death by 1,000 cuts, pick an enemy unit, complete its tactics wound caused by attacks made by 3 or more different friendly units allocated. You can do that with shooting. So you can shoot the same thing with 3 units of bliss barbs. You can split fire, so you can put like, you know, half the unit shoot, half the unit shoot, half the unit shoot, then you can charge in and can fight, and then you could charge in something else and fight. So you might be able to generate that fairly easily. And some of the battle tactics you're going to run out in the game of ones that are easy to do. You've got Enrapturing Blur, pick an enemy hero that has no wounds, you complete if that's destroyed. So obviously you've got all the abilities to kill a hero. So before it's picked to fight, so Sigvold can go in, he gets always strike first on a turn he charges, he gets +1 to hit because he's a pretenders. Then he could be on best day, +1 to wounds, would be like 2s, Ren 2, damage D3 with whatever he rolled on his charge. And then your Keeper of Secrets can go in, and you know, he can strike after Sigvold when you go into your normal activation. So you should be able to kill a hero. In the game I played, I killed a Maw Crusher before he got to swing, and he wasn't hurt. So basically went in, he was unhurt, and in that turn, both heroes killed him before he struck. I rolled really badly on Sigvold's wounds, but then James reciprocated the bad roll by rolling 4 2s against my elegant blade attacks, which were on flaming weapon with damage free, so they went through and did like 12 damage, and then the claws pipped him off. But yeah, so it's, you know, you can do it, and you can also shoot them before you go in, because they could have no wounds allocated. You could shoot them off down low and then charge in and then kill that unit, because it says if a unit is destroyed in the combat phase. So you still need to do it in combat, but you can chip away enough damage to then be like, actually, it's a lot easier to do now. He's been brought into the range of death. Grand Feast is unlikely to be done. I wouldn't pick it. It's way too risky. It's just not. I don't think you're going to be able to generate that much in a turn unless you get extremely lucky or playing someone with a lot of MSU. I wouldn't be picking that one really. Then hero wise, so Sinessa, she's in the Broken Realms book, for people who are wondering. If you've got the Slaanesh book and opened it and looked through it and went, where is this model? That's where she lives with Dexessa. So she is a wizard. She knows all the spells. Whispers of Doubt is the thing I was talking about. So it's cast on a 6. Pick an enemy hero within 3, but she's got a special rule, which means she doesn't need the range. If you roll equal to or greater than the bravery, you get +1 to hit for attacks that target the hero. So that affects shooting, melee, every unit. So that's really good. Then you get +1 to hit when you charge anyway. So if anything's like -1, that gives you like double bonus. So it's quite good. But it's really for the bliss barbs. So the bliss barbs get +1. It's just a way of like, you can shoot a hero off, like, you know. And if you get the purple sun and it managed to get their save down by 2, that's really good. So you know, she's also got a shooting attack. So she's only a 1 cast. She doesn't get a reroll. She knows all the spells. So she's like a toolbox. But honestly, like Purveyne is probably the main spell you'll be casting, and that's you roll a dice per movement value of the target. And again, she doesn't need range on that. Every 5 up is a mortal wound. So against like Achillean Kings or Maw Crushers or anything that's like high movement, like 10, 14 move, it's going to chip away from mortals. It's a pretty good spell to cast. It's kind of my go-to. And she's also got the, she's -1 to hit anyway from shooting and melee. So she's got that extra -1. And then she's got the staff, which basically you pick a model with an 18. She's movement 12, she flies. She's a monster as well, so she doesn't open like rampages, but the staff is you pick a unit and go, roll a dice, 6, nothing happens. If they pass their armor save, they take D3. If they fail it, they take D6 mortals. So again, that's great depravity generation. It's long enough range. And just pip a wound off. You don't care if it's 1 wound, 3 wounds, 6 wounds, you don't care. can kill a mini hero with it if you're lucky. There's no hit roll, so it kind of gets around like all the negatives, lookout sirs, all that kind of stuff. So it can be super good. It's really good against Nighthaunt heroes, just to chip that off. And if you've purveyed them, even if their movement's 6 to 8, any of that is enough dice that you probably do a couple mortals, then the staff could kill it. So yeah, I really like it. It's just a bonus mortal wound. So she's great. I mean, she's a bit expensive at 260, but I quite like her. I think she's got a lot of options. So combat's okay. She's all right. Freeze, rend 2, damage 2. There's nothing rubbish about that. You could go flaming weapon, make her damage 3, but it's only 3 attacks. Freeze and freeze, but if she charges, it's 2s against a hero in Faultless Blades. If you roll a 6 to hit, you get a bonus attack. So, and she's got 9 wounds, and she can monstrous rampage and stuff. So she's not bad if she tags on. She also has access to the locus, which allows you to stop them piling in. So she can tag in a corner of a unit and be fairly safe. You don't care about taking a couple wounds. That's just more depravity. And then, so she's got some good short range spell options. So yeah, she's great. I love the model. That's the main reason I put her in my list. So the keeper, he's just like the linchpin. He's your general. He's your artifact. You've got this Dark Temptations ability. It does a few mortal wounds if they want to take that, or they can risk dying from a dice roll. So that's really good. Obviously, like his attack profile's okay. It's very swingy. 14 wounds, 4-up save. So obviously a great demon. He's a wizard, monster, all that stuff. So delicate precision. So if you roll a 6 to wound, it does mortal wounds equal to the damage, and you don't roll to wound. So actually that's quite good. Especially if you roll it on the claws, it's like 5 mortals. If you roll 6 to hit on the claws, you get 3 wound rolls. So then it's like -2 rend, damage 5. But if you roll a 6 to wound, it's like 5. I mean, I've done it before. I've done like 10 mortals. You just pop 2 6s. It's just swingy. You just don't know. The whip's quite nice. The ritual knife allows you to like kill a model. The Aegis gives you a 6-up ward, which I like. I just think a 6-up ward, it's always useful. Sinistrous Hand, yeah, it's okay, but it's just 1 attack, and you need to like kill. So if you do any wounds, so at the end of any event, the combat phase, if any enemies were slain by wounds inflicted by this model's attacks, so any of his attacks, then you can heal D3. If you kill a monster, heal D6. So it's okay, but again, it's very. I'd rather just not take the wounds, so the Aegis kind of comes into its own. I think it's always useful. It just always has surviving to attack is better than not surviving and then getting a chance at healing back some of the damage they did. So just think the Aegis, but you can pick whatever. It doesn't really matter, whatever you like. Magic is obviously 2 cast wizard. You got easy for me to say. Cacophonic Choir, which is on a 6, which is like, yeah, it doesn't really come up very often. I mean, there are some stuff you can do with the mirrors with Slaanesh, where I played that before with Invaders, and you try and put the mirrors down and choir through, but because it's a 2d6 roll, and you've got to basically roll higher than their bravery to do D3 mortals. It's just not very likely. And most armies have bravery 8 to 10. It's not going to be a good chance to roll that. Really good against Skaven, but it's so situational. I just don't think you're going to write a list around it. You might cast it. I mean, you don't have to choose it or anything. So, but I find that most of the time I'm casting other spells, like his heal, or I'm casting Mystic Shield, and I'm trying to drop the Purple Sun. So that's really what he's doing. You've got the command ability Excess of Violence. So you pick a friendly Hedonite unit that's already fought in once in the combat phase, wholly within 12. The unit has to be within 3 of an enemy unit, so you can't do that, kill the screen, then pile in 6 unless there's a model within 3. So you've got to be a bit careful with this. Can't do it more than once, and it's when you pick the next unit. So it's quite good. I mean, it does allow you, and you can't, I believe you can't cast it on yourself, one other friendly Hedonite. So this keeper can't do it on himself, but you can do it on Sigvold, or you could do it on the unit of Painbringers, or if you've got Slick Blade. So it's a double activation. It's good. I mean, a double activation for a CP is always really good, particularly if you're not risking the keeper in combat to be able to do it. So I do like excessive violence. It's one of the reasons to have him in the list. Now, like I said about the way the list works with bolt-ons, if you change the end of spells, free up some points, or you drop some of the units for different things, or drop one unit of Entane Beast, he could be Glutos Ascillion if that's what you want. And Glutos is great, so you might say, actually, I'm going to run Glutos in my list, and I don't want the keeper. That's entirely up to you. This is why I like this list. It allows me to have bolt-on units and just cycle them in and out depending on what I want to play. I got the artifacts here. Obviously, I've not taken any of these because I'm Faultless Blades and I have to pick one. I've only got one here. He can have it, so there's no point using it with Warlord. There are some good ones in here, like Pendant, because it's start your hero phase, you can heal, so you can damage yourself on the Fane, get Depravity, heal it back straight away, because it's all start the hero phase and you choose the order. You know, you can get reroll hit rolls for attacks by the bearer against a hero, and unbinding rolls can reroll, which you already get one reroll anyway, so... But it's nice if you've got a caster you particularly want to shut down and you've got him you can reroll against, and you can reroll against another one, so that's really useful. You know, you've got the +1 to the attacks of a weapon, which is always good because you get extra claw attack. Just more chance to roll 6s, more chances to explode, just more damage in general. So you can do the reroll for Locust Diversion I don't think it's that useful because it's only a hero and they normally can hit you anyway because it's within 1 inch, and it doesn't really, the piling in doesn't really matter. If it was just within 3 in the pile in, but it's within 1 inch, so like if they're in 1 inch, they're hitting you anyway. You got this command point thing, which is nice. So 4+, they lose a command point, you get a command point. That can be quite strong, especially if it's 12 inches and your movement is fast. So start the hero phase, so you can basically it doesn't say your hero phase, it's the hero phase. So you can move in range of their hero, and then you can start stealing their CPs. It can be quite a big swing. The Mask of Spite Before Beauty, picking it in 6, subtract 2 from their bravery. Again, that's good for things like Cacophonic Choir and things like that. So you could build into that. But I don't know, like they're not bad. None of the artifacts are terrible, but it's up to you. I mean, like, I've taken Faultless Blades because I want those extra bonuses. So, but if you wanted to change your heroes out and have access to a second one, you know, any of these, there's some good ones here. Either you put it on the keeper, or you can move the other artifact to your mini hero, or you could put like the Scepter Domination on a Contorted Epitome or something like that. So, good options. Spells, talked about this. I'm going to go through all them all in detail, but basically, you get access to all of these. So you've got Dark Delusions, which is a good mortal spell that Sinessa knows because she knows all of them. It's cast on a 4, and you pick an enemy wholly within 18, which is a bit annoying. But you roll 2d6. The rolls are equal to or greater than the bravery. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks that target them. That could be really useful against something like brutes, or just any big unit that you want your pain bringers to hit on 2s against. They get real 1s because it's 10 in the unit, or you just go, actually I want my my archers to hit on 3s rather than 4s. Really strong. It's a really good spell. She gets access to that. The other two, not so much. I mean, someone will tell me how it's good, but you know, there's an immune to battle shock spell which could be useful in the first turn if you're like, well, what else am I going to cast? Purveyne doesn't have a good target. I'm playing against Nurgle. No point casting that. Mystic Shield's already been cast by the keeper. I might as well put Battle Rapture on, you know, whatever. You've got Progeny of Damnation she knows as well, which is a demon head knight hero in 6. Heal D3. If you roll a 10, you get D6. That is quite good. Slothful Stoop is really good. That means he can't receive, or if it's short range again. You can already fly. That's pretty useless. The keeper, you take Born of Damnation, because Born of Damnation is on a 4. Pick a head knight hero, so it could be Sigvold as well. It could be a demon hero. It's not restricted by keyword demon. D3 mortal wounds, so the D3 wounds heal, so that's good. I mean, especially if you're pinging yourself on that. What I normally do on turn 1 is ping myself onto the Fane, take a mortal wound, heal myself back, get a depravity point. It's kind of the standard thing. The other spell is then try and launch the Purple Sun. Sinessa tries Purveyne, or you might try and put a Mystic Shield on if you think the Purple Sun's too far away. But once the Purple Sun's out, it's out, so you might as well try and get it out early because it's very scary. And it does move quite far because you set it up and then moves again. Purveyne is on a 7, so it's quite hard to cast. It's not guaranteed. It's probably about 54%, something stupid like that. with Sinessa, it's in limited range. So if you've got arcane scenery, stand next to that because that's really useful. Then it's a 5-up mortal wound for their movement, which is what I talked about. Hysterical Frenzy is okay on a big unit. It could be useful. Again, it's wholly within 18. Again, I don't know why they're wholly within. They should just be within because they're against the enemy. And again, this one is within, but this is pretty rubbish. So I think out of the spells, you've got a few options. She only gets one cast anyway. Cogs is useful for rerolls. So like one of the end of spells could be Cogs, and then just blot that down. It gives you rerolls, which means you don't necessarily need Master of Magic. But I still like Master of Magic because you're not reliant on it going off them. But for her to re-roll her spell is very useful. So that's the two sort of magic-y support heroes. So they give you your magic, your support, your anti-magic. Sinessa's your buff piece. You get some ability as well to use a command ability anywhere on the table, which isn't so useful. You've got champion, doesn't really matter, but it could be useful. Who knows? Sigvold, he's great. I mean, we talk about him a lot, but if he fights first, if he charged, so again that allows you to double activate technically because you activate him in the step, which is all the strike first, then it's your go, so then you activate, so you get 2 activations in a row. He gets +3 to charge, which again is really useful, and that's his attack characteristic equal to the charge or 5, whichever's highest. So obviously if you're a double 1, then he still gets 5-inch charge, gets 5 attacks, but every round he's at 5 attacks after he's charged. So when he charges, he's really impactful. The list does allow you to screen him, so he should get charges off. He's quite a small footprint for his damage output. This is the real rule. This is the real reason you take him. Wounds inflicted by his Sard / cannot be negated. You can't ward them off. You can't pass them. They just go through, which is really good. I think it's like, there's so many things in the game with a ward save. Just gets right through the ward save. Very scary, and he's got high rend. So basically, great. He's a 3-up armor save with a 4-up ward save. Again, very survivable, especially if you use the command ability to get +2 wounds. So I think he's great. Then talked about the Painbringers. Their shield rules different. It's been FAQ'd for people looking at going, it doesn't say +1, it says reroll. It's a +1 now. I talked about these. They are what they are. Slick Blades, again, you've got a movement of 14 rather than 6. You've got the same amount of wounds, worse save. They've got a better reach. So 5 of them is going to have 15 attacks, plus you've got the attacks from the mounts, which don't have rend. But technically, they're 5 attacks a model, so that's 25 attacks, whereas these guys only have 20 attacks. They still do the mortal wound on a 6 with the glaive. So they've still got their rule, which is the Dance of Wailing Blade. So they've still got that. They've got a 2-inch reach. Whether or not you think these are better or not, I don't know. They get reroll charges innately, which is nice. So I think what I'm leaning to is switching out one of my Painbringers for these, and then I need to test Twin Souls because they're faster. They've got 2-inch reach. They've got an extra attacker model. They only hit on a 4, which is a bit meh, but you can buff that. They've got no rend, which again is a bit meh. You can get reroll to hits on the turn you want to do damage, and you're going to get a 5-up ward on the turn that you want to be tanky. Then you can roll and basically you choose one at your hero phase. It applies until your next hero phase, and you've got to change it every battle round. So if the first turn you think probably not going to be in combat, I'm just going to take the +1 hit. Next turn you go, I'm going to reroll to hit. Then you go next turn, you go for the 5-up ward. If they turn you out and you go double turn back at you or something like that, then at least you've got a ward going in. But again, you could do it in turn 1, the ward, and then thinking, well, I get the next turn, then I go in and I reroll hit rolls, so I'm super squishy. But it's normally turn 2 you want the ward, I think. I don't know. And they're okay. I don't know. I'm not sure whether these are better than Painbringers. I think I think Painbringers are they're not as swingy and they're a bit more resilient. But I might be wrong. These are more resilient with the ward, but then they don't have the save, and then they don't have the rend, and they get more attacks, and they got damage free against veterans, and they got better reach. I don't know. It's just, I think it's like, what do you prefer? And I think I need to test it and play a couple games. You could run them in 2 5s. instead, which I think might be better. Like, don't have one big unit of 10, just have 2 5s. Then you can kind of be in 2 places at once. But are they going to be a good enough screen to you know, like with the 2 units of 10 Painbringers, you've got a solid screen. I don't know. I need to practice. I need to play some games with it. Maybe they're a better screen with a 5-up ward, and you're like, well, I'll go 5-up ward because I want to. You know, the problem is if they make you go first and they could double you, you don't really want to use the 5-up ward on the turn 1. But then if they double you back, you don't have a ward, and they're just going to crumble. So it's like I don't know. I don't know what the best option is. Bliss Barbs talked about these 2 shots each, 4s. Most will run 1 damage, but they get +1 to wound if they've got homunculus, which you will do. So 1 in every 11 must be a homunculus, so you get 1. But they count as 3 models and objectives. So that's 33 capture power, which is nice because it outdoes any other units of 10 because you get 11 units. Your High Tempter gets +1 to their bow attacks, which is nice as well. Run and shoot, great. I just really like them. 140 points now, they don't feel like attacks. Obviously, building them is another option because assembly of those models is awful. It's probably the worst laid out sprue in Warhammer. Very efficient, but because they're on 1 frame, but obviously a nightmare. Then I'll talk about the battalions I've mentioned already. So Dominant Force, Galatian Veterans only. Each model counts as 3 models. So those 11 Bliss Barbs count as 3 each. So that's 33 capture. Then you've got Bounty Hunters for the whatever you put in there. You've got 2 to 3 units. So you could be 2 units of Twin Souls, units of Slick Blades. Could be 10 Painbringers, 10 Painbringers. Or could be 5 Slick Blades, 5 Slick Blades. Whatever you want. A target of an attack made by a melee weapon or model in this unit is a Galatian Veteran. Add 1 to damage. So we all know what that does. It's great. Talked about Purple Sun. On an 8, range of 8, moves 8. So 16 plus a 6 range for its debuff. So it's, you know, 22 inches away. So it can be pretty impactful. We can cast it early just to get it out there. Subtract 1 for save rolls. Target units within 6. Then a spell. In addition, roll a dice each unit within 3 after it's moved on a 1 model for the unit slain. So it's just really scary. I think if you cast it on turn 1 and you just plonk it up the middle of the board, you're not bothered about moving up aggressively, and you can shoot people, and they really don't want to move around that. And it does move in their hero phase as well, so you can really like just cause havoc with it. I think lots of people are going to be running Purple Sun. I think it's a great spell. You know, an 8 to unbind it after it's in the table is not easy. So if you get your Purple Sun off, I think it might be a bit of Purple Sun Wars for a while. Whether they FAQ it, I don't know, but at the moment it's great. The Burning Head, I talked about it. You know, it moves 8, it sets up 8, it's on a 6. After its move, if there are enemy units within 3, roll a dice for each unit within 3 on a 2+. If any units within 3, yeah. So roll a dice for each unit within 3 on a 2+, take D3 mortal wounds so it's ended. So turn 1, you could ping both units of Untamed Beast, even if they pre-game move because it's 16 inches, and then you just put it in the middle, 3 inches each way, D3, D3. They're not going to die. That's 2 extra depravity. There's still a screen. So it's great. And if you do 1 wound, you just put it on the cat, and then you're like, well, that's fine, I haven't lost a model. I do really like the Burning Head. Again, if it's in the middle of their army, you can hit multiple units with it. Again, that's quite a good depravity generation. It's quite a long range. I mean, 16. So Sinessa can sit at the back and just start launching Burning Heads in if there's no good Purveying target or other spells. So it's an option. I don't know if it's like the best thing, but it's pretty good. I mean, there are other things you could take. You could take Prismatic Palisade if you wanted to stop them being able to unleash hell when you charge them. That's a good option because your army's quite squishy to shooting. But you've got shooting of your own, so maybe you don't care about that. But there's so many good endless spell options. You can literally pick and choose. The Mesmerizing Mirror is really good. You know, the Excruciating Blades can be good. So you pick what you want to the meta, what's popular, what's going to be useful. I generally think about 100 points free in every list for endless spells and things like that is going to be the norm now, which is nice because you didn't really see many. And I talked about Lurid Haze, but just for people who don't know, this is in Wrath. So you've got this D3 units can be set up in ambush. And then you've got this reroll run rolls if they're within 12 of the general, which is nice for your archers. And then you've got the command ability, which is +1 save. And then you've got a +1 wound on your keeper. So Lurid Haze is great. I mean, I'm not saying it's not bad at all. So you can run that, but obviously you won't better run Master of Magic. And that's why I think Pretenders is better, because you can go Faultless Blades, but you still get an extra command trait, so you can run Master of Magic. It's up to you, whether or not you'd rather have the ambush. But I thought I'd just talk about it quickly. But that's the list. And what I was talking about, and I'll just do this quickly because I know this has been going on a while, is the list itself. So if I take this army and I want to change out the Painbringers and add in Slick Blades, where are you? There you are. So, like, you know, this is still, you know, this is now 1985. So I've got 15 points. So I could even then go, actually, what I really want to do is, like, I could change one of the archer units out for a unit of House Striders. That gives me an extra 5 points. I could put cogs in if I drop the Burning Head, but that'll put me at 2k. But there's no reason why I couldn't, for example, so actually I don't want Painbringers, I want Twin Souls, you know, and I'll have a unit of 10 Twin Souls, and I'll be just over now by 5 points, but I've only got to find 5 points, so Sinessa could come out, and you could put in the Contorted Epitome, and I'm 10 points under now, so, and she could go in there, then I could change it to have another artifact, and I can pick the artifact. You know, it's a different army. She gets reroll to cast as well. I don't need cogs then. I could say, well, actually, because I've got an extra 10 points, maybe I can add a different endless spell in. I'm not sure what's available for 30 points. I mean, like, there's some really good Palisades 40. Launching ain't going to be very useful. So yeah, you've got options, and, like, you know, you could swap them out and put in House Striders. I mean, all this stuff, like, now I've got, you know, 15 points free with that, so I've got, you know, up to 35 points, which is still not really enough to do anything useful. But, you know, if they were there and I actually go with extra Slick Blades, and then you've got, okay, I've got like 45 points now, so you could do that, or you could change those out to back to Painbringers, and then you go up to here and I've got like 45 points, so I could drop the mirror, the Burning Head, and put the Mesmerizing Mirror in, because I think that's 60. Yeah, so I've got the Mirror and the Purple Sun, which has got lots of ways to kill heroes, and I'm 5 points over, so I'd need to find a way to find 5 points, which is kind of annoying. Maybe I drop that then and I go for double Slick Blades, you know, and then that'll drop me down to 1995, you know. So there's lots of options. You can do, you know, you can do lots of little tweaks, and like the Epitome could come out, and you could go, actually, I want, you know, I want a Shard Speaker. I'm not sure why you would, but, you know, you go there, and you've got like 115 points, and then if you take the House Striders out and you go back up to Bliss Barbs, and then, you know, so you can play around until you find the combination you like, you know, 1890, and maybe then I drop the Keeper and I put a Skillion in, you know, and I'm at 1960, you know, and then I can take those out and I could put the Painbringers back in, because I think, no, I'll put the Twin Souls back in, because I like the most one to hit, means I'm not so bad. So 1990, that's like Sigvold, Shard Speaker, a Skillion, but then maybe I want the Contorted Epitome for the rerolls. I'm at 100 points over now, so then it's a case of just finding those 100 points. So you just go, okay, well, actually, let's not take that. That's 60 points saved, so I've got to save 40 points. So I just drop the Twin Souls out and then put in, I don't know, Slick Blades 10 points over. Yeah, 10 points over, and then you just, you know, your drop an Untamed Beast unit, whatever. You can, you know, you can play around, and what I like about this flexibility is you've got the ability to just play around until you find the combination of stuff that you like. You know, that's 10 Twin Souls. I got 30 points, and I can put the Endless Spell back in, the Burning Head. So, you know, bang, straight back in. So then you've got like a list like that, and that's, you know, Sigvold, Glutos, Epitome, Bliss Barbs, 5 Slick Blades, 10 Twin Souls, the one screen, you know, and then if you want more screen, you know, you can do what you want. But that's a good list. You know, you've got a Skillion, but if you drop the Skillion back to the keeper, you've got your 70 points. You put your Untamed Beast back in. So you see what I was saying about everything is switchable. Everything is mutable. That's what I like about the new update. Anyway, that's the list. I played a game of it, and I think the learning point is I probably will swap one of the Painbringers out, and I'm thinking about swapping the Painbringers to Twin Souls. Let me know what you think. If you've got any competitive Slaanesh lists yourself, put them in the comments below or join the Discord. Go to the Chaos section, post your lists in there, chat with the community. Super interested to hear it. If anyone's got a good Courage on Overlord list, please post it below or join the Discord and post it in the order section so I can cover that on a show. I will credit you. I just don't know enough about KO. I'm not played enough with them to be able to do it effectively. So I'd rather get some ideas and some input. So please let me know. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe. Make sure you don't miss out on any more content. I want to be doing list tech shows on Skaven, Nighthaunt, OBR. They're all lists that I know, played a bit with, and got some ideas. Skaven's an army that there's a lot of options, but I think it's very janky, and I think it will rely on teleporting. And Sylvaneth are kind of the same. I'm not really into Sylvaneth, so I'm not sure whether I'll do a list tech, but I might get someone on to talk about it if people are interested. So again, let me know below if that's what you'd like. Again, thanks for listening. Appreciate all the support. If you want to support us further, you can join the Patreon. You can become a YouTube member. You can click through the link below to go to Element with our referral code, which means we get a kickback if you spend money in Element shop. We've got our objective markers are back in stock. You can buy dice. All of that helps support the channel, helps us keep going, helps me with equipment upgrades and things like that, and web hosting and all that kind of stuff. So appreciate all the support, and we'll catch you all in the next one. See you again soon.